Being an entrepreneur is a lonely job, okay? That's what you sign up for. If you are a very social person and you like water cooler conversations in a corporate environment, stick to that. Because if you take on entrepreneurship, before you even start just giving your personality, you're gonna fail. So that's a given. It's a very lonely job, and especially in the very beginning months of starting up as an entrepreneur, it's very lonely because you have not talked to anyone and nobody knows what you're trying to do. And you're trying to figure out what you're trying to do. So you may have been a great technician at your corporate job or at whatever company you worked for, but the skill set of an entrepreneur is knowing everything and knowing, or if you don't know everything, knowing where to go to get those things done and find a frugal or creative way of doing it without paying anything. Initially, when I started and I started getting some momentum, I've had people interested in becoming my partner, and always the conversation comes down to is, what are you bringing to the table as a partner? I'm bringing marketing savvy and bringing in business savvy and technology. What are you bringing in? Is it your legal expertise? Is it your accounting expertise? Is it you can actually raise capital for the company because I'm too busy doing the marketing thing and I cannot raise capital, and you could go because you have your network of people you can reach out to. Discussions that came up at different points in time, at least 2 or 3 people that wanted to be my co-founder. And those are the questions. But for others, it's rare to have marketing and technology background, and I do have both of those things, and it helps me tremendously with the goals I have for the business, because I can talk to my technology guy, which is my left-hand side, and I can talk to my marketing guy, who's my right-hand side, and we come to a conclusion and we get it done. Whether it's automating a new a partner that came on board, to a marketing and being a designer. So as an entrepreneur, you have to be self-sufficient with many different skill sets to those kind of things. Because anytime you go outside, you could find the best price, but you're still paying, and you're not learning from that experience because somebody else is doing it for you, right? So that's. The founder thing, the question of co-founder came up, but for others, I would say they might be technically great at something, like a programmer. A PHP programmer is great at PHP programming, but wouldn't have a clue on how to sell that PHP program they just created. They need a person who does tech marketing or who knows tech business management to actually create a product or product line based on this great PHP program that was written. The reverse is also true. You might have the greatest marketing mind, but don't have the technical know-how to actually launch this tech startup. So finding a co-founder as a technology person is a great idea, so that you provide the business prowess and the marketing behind this concept, and you recruit a technology person to help you get there, the right one. So it's that combination. But if you are a hybrid like myself, you have both skill sets. So my challenge is, how much of the stuff can I get done myself, and how much of it can I affordably outsource so I can get it done even faster? But I still direct where the efforts are going and how it's getting done.
Do you have any full-time employees?
No, I have a lot of outsourced help.
Okay. So
that I direct all day long.
You're not giving any of these people equity. It's basically you're only spending cash, and you're only spending what you can afford to spend.
I'm paying them by unit of work that's getting done. So the unit of work implying they worked on a logo for this, or they worked on the homepage, they processed 5,000 products for me. I'm paying them by product, everything that they're doing. When you're starting out, for someone to believe in your vision and what you're trying to do versus somebody else coming into the picture, you are the only one that's in love with what you're doing, whatever that is, right? When you bring a second person on, and for them to believe in as much as you believe in whatever you're trying to do, right, is not going to be at the same level as you. However, there are needs. Like the example I used, you're a great marketer, but you have no technical know-how. You're a great merchandiser, but you don't know anything about marketing or technology. So there, you have to bring in those people to help you with that. So far, it's not holding on to 100% of the business, and I know that I need to bring in capital to grow the business further. I need more people to bring in more creativity. So those are the facts of life. Those will happen. I am just doing it up to the point I'm growing organically. I'm up to that point with as much outsourced help as possible so that I can still get my work done. And I have about 60 people working in the warehouse, packing, pick, pack, and ship. So that's outsourced help. They're not my full-time employees. They're outsourced help, and they're helping me deliver it. And I'm paying every order that goes out. I'm paying a dollar amount transaction fee to the warehouse. You know, and you, as a business owner, as an e-commerce business owner, you would need to get a warehouse to hold your inventory and those kind of things. So there will be a cost associated with that. So in my case, that cost is an outsourced cost that I have. If I need any kind of an administrative help, like I want every product page documented with product description like I described before. So I could do that too. You know, I have a team in India and I have a team in the United States, and I have, you know, those are the two teams I have, and one in Philippines that could take on, and if I have 15,000 products, they could do 5,000 each. And now I just distributed the work to 25 people to get that project done. You cannot scale up that quickly and not blow up as from a full-time perspective. But you could get a lot of that kind of stuff done given all the networking tools that are available online and work-oriented marketplaces that exist like I think Geek.com, there is elance.com. There are a few sites like that cater to that need, and you could outsource it. You could get, you know, 24/7 customer service help anywhere. All of those things could be outsourced. So the goal is to find out the right outsourcer or play with different ones and figure out which one is the right one to manage your cost while you're building out your brand. Eventually you have only two hands and there are only so many hours in a day you could do something. You would eventually need other expertise that you want to add to this vision. But now you have built a vision that's much more mature down the line than for it to be so early in the process that, you know, you don't want it to go there. There's a lot of founder remorse, and when you meet with entrepreneurs, that they wanted to go this way, the tech guy took them over there promising something, and now it's completely a different company, and they don't like where it's going, and they don't want it to be there. They kind of divorce this guy and pay him equity or her equity to get rid of him to now work on this. And founder's remorse is quite common that when that happens. So what I'm trying to do is I'm kind of delaying the inevitable of hiring, of getting capital, and I know that I need to do that. It's something that I need to do it a little bit later on in the process than now. I've had interest from investors to actually invest in the company, and it's something that I'm entertaining, but I'm not there yet to bring them on.
That was going to be the next question. So in terms of investors, when do you think you want to do that? Do you think you want to go like the angel route or the professional VC route?
I love angel investors. I love them, and I'll tell you why I love them. When you take VC money, for you to get anything additional than the capital that they promised you on a term sheet, it's quite limiting that way. Maybe it's naive of me to say that, but at the stage of a startup, scrappy startup that's making it now, you're starting to grow and you want some cash, you could raise that capital from angel investors who not only give you the cash, but they also bring in the experience that you seek, that you could rely on them to say, I need mentorship here. We're facing a problem with, controlling our cost or negotiating our IT contract or ISP contract or whatever. They can provide you with some feedback, or at least they'll point you in the right direction and say, here you go, you should go here.
So you're thinking of almost like a strategic angel, some guy who has experience with warehouses, someone who has technology background, or I'm thinking of the different facets of your specific business, not just, I was in, I own 50 McDonald's franchises, made a ton of money, I know nothing about your business, but I'm willing to write a $500,000.
But even that $500,000 check from that McDonald's person is quite effective, because that person has had experience of running a franchise, and they could provide operational experience that I could utilize.
I was trying to think of something that's totally, okay, so somebody who inherited money and never worked in their life.
That's difficult.
You would not want that person as your first choice of angel.
Not as a first choice. I mean, at the end of the day, it's possible that I might get a group of angels that invest, but they also bring in people that don't have that experience. But I can at least benefit from the group, like 2 or 3 or maybe even 1 angel investor in that group that I can rely on as a mentor to help me take my vision and multiply it by 100x, you know, and they can see the ROI on that return. So it's sort of a mentor / angel investor kind of a relationship is what I'm looking for. Because so far I've been very successful, thank God, you know, as successful as growing my business up to a point. Actually, there's an angel investor in New York. I actually had a good conversation with him. He's very popular and a very smart guy. Had a very good conversation with him, and he mentioned something in that conversation. He didn't realize he mentioned it to me, but to me, that 1 ounce of knowledge that he just shared with me doesn't realize that helped me grow my business 60x.
What was that ounce of information? What did he teach you? What was the insight?
I was actually doing this myself, but it was hearing the reiteration of it from a very smart person was the fact that I said, because the angel investor actually asked me, why do you want to raise capital? And my answer was, I've been able to grow my business organically, and having more funds, I could grow it even further. The response to that was, well, if you're a purely marketing spend company, you're not going to get angel investors interested in the company. You might get some cash flow investors interested in the company, but not angel investors interested in the company. You need to pay attention to the organic growth, just that ounce. As soon as that happened, I went back and I said, I sharpened my pencil and said, there are things that I'm not doing organically that I need to be doing in order to grow my business. And I looked at opportunities that I was already involved in, and I saw there were opportunities to organically grow those opportunities. Doing a simple thing like improving a product image has a return on it. I can actually put a dollar amount on that 2 seconds you just spent on updating that product image. So that's one thing that he said, and if he's watching this video, he would know who he is. That just ounce of it grew my business 60x. So So
the idea was there to double down and re-scrutinize everything you can control right now by yourself without any money from anybody else. And one example was put a better picture up on this page.
No, to me the comment was you need to grow more, pay attention more to the organic growth. So that triggered many different things.
Versus growth that you pay for by buying keywords on Google or whatever other, having events.
Yep. Okay. So that showing that growth and showing that how much you were able to do based on a frugal budget or no budget, right, or very low budget, that you were successful at doing that. Imagine now asking for that $1 investment, you would be able to do so much more, and actually showing that you could do actually more. So do spend a little bit to actually figure out what those things are.
So basically the idea there would be to say to the investors, if I can hire 4 guys and have them focus on all these organic things, we don't need to spend money on all these paid marketing activities.
No, those paid things have their place in your marketing strategy. It's just that jumping on them as the first thing to do is not wise, because then you're hiding the fact that you need to be spending more on the dollar amount, the dollar spends, and not on the organic growth. There's a lot of organic growth you could still achieve, or very low cost growth, low cost spend to get huge growth. You could still do that and get a multiplier effect in your business versus just going out there spending the money. As I said earlier in the very beginning, spending money is pretty easy. Google would love a monthly paycheck from you. Yahoo would too, and AOL is getting back in the business now, and Ask.com and so on and so forth, so many of them. But it's a lot harder to figure out creative ways to organically grow. But once you do figure it out and do SEO and SEM and do build relationships with bloggers, build stronger relationships with your customers, build incredible relationships with your vendors, you're growing the business organically, and you're putting in a solid foundation that on top of it, when you spend money, you're going to get better return off of it. If a lot of people on Google AdWords, for example, they spend $1 and they get $2 in revenue. If their margin is 50%, they're actually in a negative business. They're losing money. They don't realize that. I always bring down the unit of whatever I'm looking at down to either $1 or 1 minute. Once you look at that, everything else works out by itself. If you're spending $1 or $10,000, doesn't matter. Take the dollar. If you generated $2 from it, you lost in that game. Unless your marketing program is so incredibly strong that you can get retention. You can get a high rate of retention or reacquisition of the customers that you acquired. You paid quite a hefty price for 50% of your margin or more, right? You would be able to get that. But if you have a solid foundation, now imagine spending that $1 and getting $10 in revenue. Do you have to work as hard to go and get that customer back to come back? Maybe one more time, and you already made your profit from it. You see the perspective on that. But if your foundation is weak, that organic foundation is weak, what's going to end up happening? A lot of smart people will end up spending a lot of frivolous money, and in order to grow, you're going to keep on applying more and more money, more and more cash, and you would need more capital to grow,
Over an inefficient foundation.
Inefficient foundation. But if your foundation is good, it's solid, and a lot of it is organic, and to me it's obvious, right? A lot of people have to learn it, and I'm learning too myself. But if your foundation is solid and organic, then on top of it, when you put $1, you get $10 in revenue, and you're banking $5 net profit or $4 net profit on that $1, you just figured out the game. And you're going to succeed in that business. You're going to have a profitable business versus very shaky foundation. You're spending $1, getting $2 in revenue. You're hiding the fact that there's a much more serious problem. Maybe it's education, maybe it's learning, maybe you're not testing. All of those things are key to building a good, strong foundation. I would say first and foremost, one of the transitions I made from my earlier decision that I had made was to actually move to Google Apps. That gives you a good platform for many different things. So to me, Google Apps was an incredible choice that I made that gave me ability to do customer service, to not lose emails that was happening to me, and not worry about storage. That was the other problem that I had with my ISP. So every 500 megs I had to delete, and I hate deleting emails, especially if they're business related, so I can go back to it and see what was the conversation. And the other, from a task or management perspective, I can look at my Google Mail and I check it and add to task, and it becomes a task in my task list, which is an incredible tool. It's a very simple, obvious thing that does not exist in a lot of the other platforms, other popular software, desktop software that you know. So that's that. Obviously, the standard on the web is exchanging documents in Microsoft Word format. So and Microsoft Excel format, it has become the standard. So if you use something different, it becomes difficult to manage and do that. So Microsoft Office, definitely, Office products are very useful, very productive to use. I do use Google Docs when I'm collaborating with someone. When I'm working on a contract together and editing the document at the same time, Google Docs is an amazing platform to do that. Or working on a spreadsheet with my accountant to figure out how we want to, proceed with the next series of growth or whatever we're trying to do. As far as project management goes, or task time management goes, I have one of the cheapest and the simplest, because if your task manager is more complicated than the NASA program going with a Mars rover, right, then it's not really productive. You're wasting time. Just because it looks cool doesn't mean you have to spend so much time on it. You should do something and get on with it. So one of the time management tips I would give is I actually use Post-it. One Post-it note per day. I have a thick Post-it notes like this. It's this size. It's like, I don't know, 4 inches by 4 inches, right? And I have a pen. Every morning or the night before, I write down 5 things I want to do the next day, right? As I said earlier, I look at $1 or I look at 1 minute, right? To me, the next day's task list, I have a vision of where I want to take this company in the next 18 months. Don't get me wrong. But the journey to that is the first few steps you need to take every day, right? So every day I put in 5 things I want to do with my business. There are some repeating things I do every day, and there are 2 things that's repeating every day, and 3 things I want to do new that hits my revenue directly and makes it grow. So those are 3 things I do. And you know what? My day is not 8 hours. My day is not 10 hours. Maybe it's 22 hours. Unless I'm done with those 3 things that I just promised myself I'm going to do, I'm not sleeping. I'm going to get those things done. It's going to be done. That's it. Because the next Post-it note is coming soon. So I would put the next 5 things I want to do. And that's how you make progress. Coming up with a project plan in Microsoft Project, and I know Microsoft Project very well, with 2,000 tasks, and now you're going through one at a time. The thing is, e-commerce is changing every day. Your competition is changing the game every day. You can't be relying on, I'm step 186 out of 3,000 to get my things done. You have to look at how the marketplace is, and you have the agility as a startup or as a small business to change things on a daily basis. The same privilege and the same agility does not exist in a large corporation. For them to move, there needs to be a quarterly meeting 3 months from now, or there needs to be an approval process that takes 3 weeks at a minimum. You are the owner of this business. You are steering the ship. Steer it every day and course correct every day. Don't overpromise yourself, but don't underpromise yourself either. Push yourself a little bit more. If 5 tasks that you're putting up and you're getting it done in 1 hour, and the next 7 hours you're spending on Netflix and Farmville, you know what? You're not working on your business. You're wasting time. Farmville has its place. As soon as those 5 tasks are done with what you promised that you want to get done, and it was an honest promise, meaning that it was at least 8 hours of work that needed to get done, you know what? Reward yourself by playing a Netflix movie or Farmville, so that you feel good about you just achieved something and now you rewarded yourself for doing that.
Yeah. How about accounting software? Do you use like an online thing or QuickBooks or?
Our accountant is actually in our building and is a good friend of mine now. And he has recommended QuickBooks, and QuickBooks is actually one of the other things that's great about Volusion is actually gives you QuickBooks output. So all I do is output it from there and input it here, and magic is done. And then I work with David, my accountant, to look through those things and see what needs to get cleaned up and stuff. There's also shoebox.com where you can send your receipts, they scan it and they turn it into data, and you could utilize that. Those are great tools to use. I did try using for some time. There's a tool called Basecamp HQ. It's a very useful tool. But when I made the transition to Google Apps and my processes changed a little bit, I didn't see a need for Basecamp. Maybe later in my growth, I might look at a tool like that, because when I used it, I found it to be quite informative and a great place to organize all your things. Something that I love and I really highly rely on is Dropbox, so that I could work on my laptop, on my desktop. I could leave those alone and I can go somewhere connected and boom, I could continue working. And from backup perspective, it's great. From Backify is another tool that I use. Carbonite is another tool I use to back up my desktops. You know, those are great tools, very affordable tools that you can get. And if you don't get it, you cannot not afford to get it, because if you lose your data or the work, the thing is a disaster. Yeah. So a combination of Dropbox is great for flexibility between when I'm moving, and Carbonite is great so that it gets backed up. So I have insurance that I don't lose anything.